Welcome back to another exciting episode of the Up North Journal, everybody. I'm your host, Mike Adams, and as always, who's been here with me for a year, my co-host.
Yeah, Mike Adams. Hey, what's up?
And I'd like to remind everybody we're part of the Outdoor Radio Network. Go over to their website and check out some other podcasts. We're part of Skinny Moose Radio. You go over there Tuesdays at 1 o'clock and listen to the podcast there if you so choose on your computer. And that's at skinnymoose.com. And also, I want to give a shout-out to a website that's helping promote our podcast that we've been with for a little while now, and that is myhuntingandfishing.com. They've got a really interactive site over there. It's kind of like a Camo space type website. And I know a lot of people went over there. We've promoted that website also. But give us this one a chance here. There's some good stuff over there, some interactive videos and things like that. It's a really nice site. The guy does a really nice job with it. And I just want to give a shout-out to them, and thanks for helping us. Well, Michael, we're embarking on a new year, so to speak, of the podcast. Last week was our one-year anniversary, so just kind of in a nutshell, what did you think about the last year? We really didn't talk a whole lot about our anniversary last week.
I think it's cool that we got to start our own radio show and stuff, thinking of listening to other podcasts and be like, that would be cool if we could do that someday. Yeah. And then we did.
Yeah, and you know what's funny is I listened to one of the shows a couple weeks back. I think it was like episode 5, and man, the way the show's transpired and progressed and everything, it's come a long way. We stunk back then. I'm not saying we don't stink now. We probably do still, but we definitely come a long ways in our confidence and some of our ability to do things and the way we tell stories and things like that. So I'm pleased with the way the show's progressed in the last year. We've got some emails here recently from a couple new listeners, and appreciate that as always. One thing I haven't noticed, though, is the numbers have kind of stabilized here for a while, and we got to do something to push that. I don't know exactly what we're going to do yet. Maybe we can hook up with some different websites or something here, and always working on new and innovative ideas to try to push the show. So hopefully we can hook up with somebody. If anybody out there has got an idea of where we could actually post the show or promote it, let us know. We're coming up with some new ideas of things that we're trying to do. And especially if you got a friend who likes hunting and fishing, by all means, tell them about the show. Push it along to somebody else. Tell all your friends, tell your neighbors, whoever. We're always looking for new listeners and new ideas. We got an email last week from a guy, Nate, out in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. And actually, him and I talked a little bit back and forth this week, and he's got a couple questions, and we're going to try to answer a few of those later on in the show. Probably towards the end of the show, I got some things I want to say about that. And actually, it's probably going to wind up being more than just a 1-week process of talking about some of the questions he had asked. So that's going to lead us kind of into our spring, I want to call it our spring fling, I guess. I don't know. It hasn't having to do with archery and getting ready for archery season. And you say, well, archery, man, it's April. Or actually, it's May now.
Yeah.
Archery season don't start to the fall. But you know what? It's time to get started in that stuff and get ready. So I got some exciting things to talk about that developed this week for us. So we'll talk about that more in the show. But actually, this week we tied up a few loose ends. We got up north and tried to tie up a few loose ends of things we had to do. And wasn't a big weekend outdoors, but we did manage to get some things done.
Get outside.
Yeah, and we went up to our place, actually up to my mother-in-law's place up in Mackinac and our place. And we had to do a little bit of repair work up there. Had a big windstorm blow through and blew some shingles off her place. And we took care of that, and we opened up our cottage and got that ready. Found a water leak, man. Nothing I hate worse than broken pipes. Thought we had it taken care of and drained properly, but, it's something that's easily fixed, so next time we're up, we'll take care of that. That's all part of it, That's good work. I don't mind that at all. But on the way up, we saw some cool stuff. We saw some stuff that's kind of sad, and we'll talk about that a little bit here. But you okay there, man? You kind of stuffed up this week. You've been fighting a cold.
Yeah, I have had a cold for about a week.
Yeah, I think you need some more fresh air. You need to get out and hunt and fish or something. We'll take care of that. But on the way up, we saw a dead coyote on the side of the road. Saw some turkeys out strutting in the field. Did we see any deer? I think we saw a few deer on the way up. And
you said you saw 2 and then saw some on the way back.
I can't remember. But the one thing that we really didn't talk, I don't know if we talked about on the show last week or not, but while we were away in Ohio on our turkey hunt, we had a small forest fire here in Michigan. And it was up near the Grayling area, and it burned about 1,100 acres of forest land. And actually, the main thoroughfare through there is I-75, the expressway. They actually shut the freeway down because the fire actually jumped the freeway.
Yeah, when we saw it, like it was like really close to town.
Yeah, this weekend
at a gas station.
This weekend on the way up, we happened to see where that went through. So we took some pictures, and I'm hoping to get those up on the blog site this week. But that's the first time I've really seen where a forest fire went through an area.
And it wasn't really, it wasn't that big of a forest fire, but...
It was pretty devastating, though. I mean, I was really, you kind of like in shock and awe. You're like, wow, man, this thing really, it burned everything. It burned the grass, it burned the vegetation undergrowth and everything. It burnt the trees. I mean, the trees looked like matchsticks. Everything was black, just charred black, and we actually stopped and pulled over on the side of the road. And actually got off the freeway, made a loop back around and hit a side road. And... the heavy smell of smoke, and this was a week later, and you see where they plowed through the forest with bulldozers making the fire break and stuff, and, it's kind of sad to see stuff like that. But you know what? That's the way nature takes care of herself a lot of times, too. It'll burn that old growth, get rid of it, and new vegetation will be springing up here real soon. It'll take a while to replenish, but it'll come back. That's the one good thing. But when we pulled over on the side road, the one thing we noticed was we pulled down this one road where the main fire went through before it jumped the freeway, and it dead-ended down at this little turnaround, and right where the main fire come through was a Grayling game camp. And it's like I think it's like a shooting preserve or maybe a sportsman's club.
Kind of like what we belong to.
Yeah, and it looked like it burned the whole place. I don't know if it burned their buildings or anything, but, man, their forest land there is gone. I don't know. I feel bad for those guys. I don't know what they can do, but, like I said, hopefully things will come back. But we'll put some pictures up on the website this week, and I'll probably blog about it a little bit. It was a new experience for me to see something like that. And I don't know, what did you think about it?
It was kind of weird just seeing like everything black, like normally seeing how it's supposed to look, and then you look over, it's like green, and then you look on the other side of the road and it's black.
Yeah, because things are starting to green up here. Things are coming out in bloom, the trees are blooming. The grass is growing, the trees are budding, and it's starting to become springtime here in Michigan. Up towards Mackinac, things are starting to green just a little bit. It's still kind of chilly up there. Actually, I saw a pile of snow up there still.
You did?
Yeah, on the side of the road where they'd actually plowed snow off the roads.
I didn't see it.
And there was a pile of snow still there. That was kind of odd to see because we haven't seen snow here in probably a month. It's but it's coming. It's slow, but. We made it up there, and we took care of that, and then got the roof fixed. And then this morning we got up, and we started to head back south. And we had talked, what was it, probably 2 months ago about the wood duck boxes. You did a lot of game bag on that, about making the wood duck boxes, how to make them and all that, the nesting cavity nesting boxes. And we stopped at our 40 acres that we actually thought would be a good duck hunting spot, and we found that, we stopped by, 3 weeks ago?
Yeah.
We checked that out. We saw all the ducks there and everything and the geese. And this week, on the way back home, we took everything with us, and we put 2 wood duck boxes out. And so what did you think about that experience?
I thought it was pretty cool, actually, getting to make stuff and then put it out to help the habitat and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm used to just hunting and stuff, and then not, really, conservation.
Yeah, I feel kind of like you're giving back.
Yeah.
We take a little, but we got to give back, too. So it's... putting a little bit of habitat out there. And, it was neat. We got out, and my daughter Mackenzie went with us, and we took some pictures. We're going to put that up on the website.
Cleared the roads.
Yeah, actually. Yeah, if you remember 3 weeks ago when we talked about it, there was 4 logs across the road, and we took the chainsaw out, and we had to cut our way in, and got through there okay, and after having to fix the chainsaw a little bit, had a little problem with that, but got that taken care of, got back there, and, put our wood duck boxes together, and hopefully that'll lead to good things this coming season. So, but on the way into the property, we remember what we saw on the side of the road there coming in.
Oh yeah, the 5 toms on the side of the road.
Man, those things were awesome. We sat and watched them for probably 10, 15 minutes. 5 nice toms in a field. We were probably 100 yards away, and they kind of saw us but didn't pay much attention. Watched them go full strut. And I figured that the length on the beards were probably 6-7 inches long. So they're probably last year's jakes, and that's probably the reason they're still in their bachelor groups instead of out, chasing the hens singly or, they weren't fighting or anything like that. But that was kind of cool to see. And then we took a little walk around the property, checked that all out, showed Mackenzie everything there, and she got spent a little time picking wildflowers for Mom. She's going to bring them back and give them to her. A little early Mother's Day present. Guys, don't forget, next Sunday is Mother's Day. Take care of the ladies who let you go hunting and fishing. Or matter of fact, if it's a lady who goes hunting and fishing with you, take care of her anyway. Get her something nice. We can't forget our moms. We can't forget our wives. So don't forget that next week. Want to make sure we get that out there. Michael, one thing coming up here, we're kind of in the middle of turkey season. Not really the middle. First 2 weeks here of turkey season here in Michigan. Our hunt starts actually May 12th, so we've got a little more than a week left. I think it starts a week from this coming month, week from tomorrow actually. So we've got 8 days. Actually, we won't be hunting until that weekend, and we've already had a couple guys that we've talked to around here who've actually taken birds, and a good friend of mine we've interviewed about he did the self-guided deer hunt down in Missouri, and he did a self-guided trout fishing trip that we interviewed him on down to Arkansas. And last week I heard he got out on his property behind his house, and he actually took a real nice tom back there and called that in the evening and took one. It had a 9-inch beard on it. Haven't seen any pictures yet, but he was all excited and called and told me about that. So I'm hoping to get a picture of that and like to put that up so everybody can check that out too. So he's one step ahead of us so far. And also with the 1st of May coming up, we've got our Michigan our Michigan bear permits are ready to be put in, and our Michigan elk permits. So those lotteries are now open from now until June 1st, and we got to get those permits put in so we can get put in for the draws for those. So guys, if you're listening and you're from Michigan, make sure you get those put in. You've got a little less than a month to take care of that, but you make sure you want to get in so you get your preference points on that taken care of. So, but we're talking about turkey season here, Michael, and most of you know, and I've talked about it a lot, I belong to the NWTF, local Flint River chapter here in Flint, Michigan. And the reason I bring this up now is we got, last week, I picked up my seed. The NWTF, the Super Fund, pays for half of what's called, it's kind of like a leftover seed from these seed mills and feed mills who bag stuff up for farmers. And they'll take the cull that's left over and they mix it with all the different kinds of stuff. And we've got what's called Michigan Mix 1 and 2. And we can buy that for half price because the NWTF Super Fund pays for half of that, so we pick up the rest of the cost. And I can plant a half acre for $10.50. And I got 2 bags this year, which was really nice. That's part of being a member of NWTF. That's part of our money coming back to work for us.
Didn't you get a bag of it last year, too?
Got a bag of it last year, the first time I'd ever got a bag of it. Actually, no, I bought 2 bags last year. And this year I got 2 more bags. So that's something as a member that you can partake in. We're always saying, well, what does my money go for? Well, why should I join? I mean, not only you get the magazine, you get to hang out with every month with some good guys and talk. And we've also got the Jakes program where we bring the young hunters in and educate them. Fun. Yeah, you went to that last year, first time, and looking forward.
Working for it next.
Yeah, you're going to be doing a little bit of work for them. So, but we get the seeds. But also, I got a call this weekend from our president. We got trees. Our trees come in. Now this is free, and this is the great part. We got 15 trees apiece this year for free. We got some bur oak. I think a cran apple or crab apple, or maybe it's a cranberry bush. I can't remember. Some hawthorn. But they're all seed or fruit bearing type trees that produce acorns or some kind of crop for the birds. Also provides roosting area for them, at least the bur oak, bigger oak tree. So we get these free every year, and that's another great advantage of being a member. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, guys, if you get the opportunity to go to and sign up for the NWTF, that's something you ought to do. I mean, I think it costs $35 a year, and it's well worth it. It is more than worth it. So it's just that's a couple of things that just come up this week that I've gotten back out of the program this year. Just want to mention that. So, you know what, Michael? Let's go ahead and let's get our first break out of the way. We got some outdoor news this week. We had a lot of stuff happening here in the Michigan area and across the nation that I want to talk about that might affect you or just be interesting to you. And then I know you got Game Bag coming up, and then we'll try to answer a couple of questions from the gentleman that was out in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, that emailed us this week. So let's take a quick break, and we'll be right back after this.
If you're looking for the best in outdoor hunting and fishing podcasts, look no further than the Outdoor Radio Network. Each week we have dozens of podcasts devoted to outdoor sports, with shows like On the Water with Bob Murray, Bass Champ Journal, Surf and Shore Fishing, just to name a few. Check out all outdoor podcasts on the OutdoorRadioNetwork.com.
Welcome back, everybody. And now we're going to hit a little bit of outdoor news for the week. Before we do, though, Michael, he's got a cough drop in his mouth, so if you hear something rattling around, that's him. He's fighting a cold. And I just found out looks like I got poison ivy. I looked down on my hand, and I'm broke out here. So I guess that's what I get for playing in the woods today. So
yeah, you went tromping off for morels.
Yeah, I was looking for morels while we were up there. I didn't find any, but... you know what? It looks like some of the same stuff that my daughter Mackenzie might have got on her hand, so I'm wondering if she's got it on her too. We're going to have to check her out and make sure she's clean. But anyway, let's get into some outdoor news of the week here. I got an email from a buddy of mine this week there's a problem out in Connecticut about a shooting range out there. And this is at the Blue Trail Rifle Range out near where Bob Rich is from in Connecticut. And I guess what's happened out there, and we've had the same problem here, right down the road from us here, there's the Lake Fenton Sportsman's Club, who's been around for 30, 40 years, maybe more, in this area. But what's happened is, out there anyway, as well as here, is the shooting range has been around for a long time. Well, all of a sudden, the land around it is starting to get developed, and lo and behold, when you put a housing development next to a rifle range, you might get a flyer or a stray bullet, ricochet, what have you, coming off of the range. You know, it's going to wind up in people's yards. It might wind up in their siding of their house, or worst case scenario, somebody might get hurt, or a pet, what have you.
Through a window or something.
Through a window. And I know it's happened over here at this one. And they've gotten the police involved, the law enforcement involved. Now the township officials are involved. And it sounds like what Bob Rich wrote on his website, on the Bob Rich Shooting Journal. Same things happening out there to those people. And, you know, what gets me is these ranges have been around and been established for long periods of time. Why do the local officials continually allow people to build houses next to shooting ranges? You know, the range has been there, and all of a sudden they're going to move houses in, and then they want to complain because their houses or their property is in danger. You know what? Don't move next to a shooting range. You know, it's a common sense. You just don't do that. That's like if there's an X-rated movie shop next, you know, on a street, and there's a vacant lot next to it, and you buy the lot and build a house, then you complain because there's an X-rated movie shop there, and you don't want your kids seeing it. That's your fault. You shouldn't build there. You know, we continually blame other people for our stupidity. You know, if you're stupid enough to build next to a rifle range, I'm not saying you get what you deserve, but you should know better. You know what I'm saying? Don't go complaining.
Sounds like they need to get Bill Engvall involved. Give him some signs.
Yeah, here's your sign. But, you know, I don't really want to get up on a soapbox on this, but it does. It makes me mad. You know, it's like the farmer that lives here behind us. You know, I've heard other people in the area go, back when he had cattle, they're like, man, you know, it stinks out here. Well, then why'd you move out here? You knew the farm was there. It's been there for years. You know, it didn't bother me. I mean, my grandfather had a dairy farm. To me, that was like home. But, you know, when you don't move into an area and then complain about what's already been there, what's already there, because you moved in and then you want it removed, no. You need to investigate what's in the area before you move or build there. And actually, the township people or officials or the zoning board of whatever municipality you're in, if they allow housing developments, home developments to go in next to these places, they're the ones that need to be held responsible, not the shooting range. They were there first. You know, it really grinds my goat. It really bothers me. You know, I'm sick and tired of people blaming other people for their stupidity. And that's what it boils down to. So, you got anything you want to say? You look like you're ready to jump on board here or something.
Here's your sign.
Yeah, well, okay, I'm done with that one. But it just really makes me mad. Now I want to move along to another piece of information talking about Connecticut, and this is a piece of good news. So, my buddy Bob out there, if you're listening, I don't know if you've picked up on this yet or not, but I ran across this week, and I believe it came off of the NRA Hunting Rights website, nrahuntingrights.org, and the state of Connecticut may allow the hunting of moose and bear. Evidently, there is a growing population of moose and black bear in the area. I guess especially the moose up in the northwestern part of the state, according to this article. And they said they right now have about 100 moose that they know of, and about 300 bear that are roaming the state. And they expect the bear numbers to grow by 10 to 20% a year. So in 10 years, the bear population is going to double. Actually, it'd be less than that probably when you start multiplying the numbers out. But there's becoming more human interaction between the bear and humans, and they're wanting to make sure they keep that population in check. And from what it may sound like, they might actually turn around and institute a hunt to try to keep these numbers down or in check. And they said the moose population is increasing also. But they're starting to see these animals move into more suburban type areas, and it's causing problems, obviously. So, but one thing I read about this that kind of irritated me, and I just didn't. I thought it should be more than what it is. But anyway, it says under current law, hunters may be fined up to $200 and jailed up to 60 days or both for illegally taking a bear or moose. Now, if this hunting law passes, along with it will also pass a new bill that will impose progressively stiffer penalties for a first, second, and third conviction. 3-time offenders could be fined $1,000 and jailed for 180 days and permanently lose their hunting license. For a third offense, come on, $1,000? What's deer restitution here in Michigan? Isn't it $2,000 for a deer? Come on, guys. Bear and moose are worth way more than that to that state. That big game animals like that, especially with such low numbers. You know what? If people are out there poaching these things, you know what? They need to have the book thrown at them and hammer them. You've got a small population of moose and a small population of bear that they're going to think about letting people hunt. And if people are already poaching them, and it's a $200 fine. My out-of-state hunting tag for the state of Ohio is $125 when I went down to turkey hunt. Plus, I had to buy the turkey license. So you're telling me I can go to Connecticut and I could kill a black bear or a moose illegally and only have to pay $200? That's wrong. I'm not saying I'd do that. I'm just saying I'm trying to compare what it costs for a hunting license versus these penalties. That penalty is ludicrous. There's no deterrent there whatsoever. That penalty ought to be way more than that. It ought to be 10 times more than that. I don't know. That's just my opinion. But I think we get way away from what the actual repercussions of what it should be. People should be hammered on this stuff, and that's why we got poachers, because we don't take a stiff action against them when they get caught. Make an example out of these people. But for those people out in Connecticut, hey, that's some great news, man. I hope you guys get a bear hunt and a moose hunt out there. We've got a few moose here in Michigan, but not any, not huntable numbers.
I didn't know there was moose in Michigan.
Yeah, up in the UP, there's moose up there.
Oh,
yeah.
I figured probably up in the UP, but I thought you meant down here in lower.
Oh, no. Years ago, they actually had what they called a moose drop. They flew in moose, and they had like these. Looked like
kind of like what they do with cows.
Yeah, a big slingshot around them. I mean, a big old thing that held them up, and they flew them into the helicopters and dropped them. Yeah. They didn't drop them; they set them down. But they transplanted some moose into Michigan that way. I don't know if it was 25 or 50. It was back. I want to say it was in the 70s, but I'm not really sure. But it never really took off. They never really, multiplied like they thought they would. It just never really took off. I don't know why. But there's still moose in Michigan. They just don't hunt them. So, but that's a great resource to have in Connecticut, And if you get the opportunity out there, guys, they allow that to hunt. I'm going to tell you, black bear hunting, it's intense and it's fun. I mean, I've rifle hunted them and bow hunted both, two different ways. The 2 times I've had my opportunity to hunt them, and it's a lot of fun. That's all I can say about it. It's well worth the time. So now, moving along here, I don't want to tie up too much of our time, but getting back to new laws and things imposed here in Michigan and up in the TB zone, DMU 452, where you and I hunt for deer in the fall. The DNR wanting to impose some new rules and regs up there. Actually, they have. And I'm once again afraid, because of the TB in that area, that's the reason they call it the hot zone, or DMU 452. Anybody who hunts here in Michigan knows what I'm talking about. The DNR has now, they are issuing permits to private landholders, 1 a day, antlerless tags. And that's throughout the whole year. They are wanting to reduce the Michigan deer herd in DMU 452 by over 50%. And rumor has it, from a close source that has been to some of these meetings, said that if this does not happen, if they don't see the reduction in the numbers, they're going to bring in, I hate to use the term, but they call them professional hunters. You know how I feel about it, and I've heard you say they're
sharpshooters.
They're sharpshooters. They're not professional hunters. There's no such thing as a pro hunter. They're sponsored. But if we don't take and harvest these animals and use them, use the meat, or take the meat and give it to, like, maybe Hunters for the Hungry, evidently what they're going to do is they're going to come in, they're going to slaughter them, and just let them lay. So it's not a good situation. I think they're going overboard with this. That's my own personal opinion. But it's something that we're going to have to face here, and there's been a lot of talk on one of our public hunting forums here lately about it. So it's something we're going to have to keep an eye on. We're going to have to see how it progresses. My dad was up at the general meeting for our hunt club up there this weekend, and that subject came up. He belongs to a 9-member club, and these are all free-roaming animals. They're not behind any fence at all. It's just 9 guys got a piece of property. I don't want anybody to get the wrong idea when you say club. People tend to think it's fenced, but it's not. There's not even a strand of barbed wire around the property. So they're completely free-roaming animals. But they're going to come in. They're going to devastate the herd. That's what it sounds like they're going to do. So we're keeping our ears to the ground on this, and if we hear anything coming up on this, and I'm sure there'll be a lot of talk on the web forum this week. Next week's show, maybe we'll know a little more about this and bring it to you. Now, moving along, I just came across something here from the NRA's website, and the title kind of caught my eye, and just real quick here, I want to read it to you. It's called Animal Rights in the Classroom, and this is dated as of Thursday or Friday this week. Animal rights extremists are trying to invade classrooms in Washington, D.C. With the passage of the Animal Rights Protection Amendment Act, they would be able to go into schools and indoctrinate children with their bizarre notion of humane education. The bill would require the D.C. Department of Education to provide such instruction that it would get rid of the phrase animal owner in the District of Columbia. No longer would you own a dog or cat. You would be their animal guardian. Give me a break. It's easy to dismiss these attempts at indoctrination as silly, but the animal rights extremists are serious, and they want to change the way you think and the words that you use, and the way that you live and fit into their agenda, and they won't stop until they get their way. You know, Michael, we saw a lot of this week here in Michigan, a big, huge, humongous uproar. And I don't know if people that listen all around the United States here, maybe even across, we have a couple of people that listen overseas. We've got this big department store chain in Michigan, Indiana, and Ohio area. It's called Meijer's. Okay, it's kind of like a Walmart type store. Okay, they had a pet photo contest, and for every photo you submitted to the store, they would donate $1 to the Humane Society of the United States for a, what did they call it? It was called the Pet Foreclosure Fund, and what it was under the guise of they were going to take this money and put it into a special account in case your home was foreclosed on because of the banking industry the way it is right now. These people who lost their homes and couldn't afford to keep their pets, and they would be able to use this fund to help feed their animals or shelter their animals. That's what the whole premise was, but it was really being funneled into the Humane Society of the United States bank accounts. Once this information came out last week, within 2 days, enough people wrote and complained to this store that they pulled their funding immediately. They pulled it immediately. And actually, I wrote and slammed their people pretty good on 2 different occasions. And within the next morning, actually, less than 24 hours later, they had pulled it, and which is great news. You know, this place sells hunting and fishing license. They sell hunting and fishing equipment, and that was my whole point. I was like, why would you do something that is going to take away money from your company? Why would you give money to get rid of hunting and fishing when you sell those products? You know, I said, you're cutting your own throats, basically. But don't ever think that your voice is not heard by all of us sportsmen here in this area, in the 3-state area, by all of us emailing and bombarding that company with our thoughts and how outraged we were. They pulled their funding from the Humane Society of the United States. It's just another attempt at these anti-hunting and fishing people that they want to cram stuff down our throats. So they're after us, and people, you might think it's silly, you might think it's crazy, and you might laugh it off, but I'm telling you, they are coming after us. And next week I've got another story that I want to read to you about PETA, another thing that they're doing. Don't want to get into it right now because it's going to carry on way too long into the show. But they're out there, guys. Just be vigilant, make your voices be heard, stand up for what's right. Speaking of the Humane Society of the United States, I got a little article here that came off of, I believe this one was off of the NRA's website also, but it's actually from the MyrtleBeachOnline.com newspaper website. And it's talking about in the state of South Carolina, the use of birth control on deer to keep and manage their numbers. And at first I thought they were passing a law to institute this, but what it actually is their state game commission is actually making it illegal for anybody to use it without a permit, and they have to go through the state wildlife agency to get that permit. And which I thought was good. It's like the state game commission or wildlife commission is keeping track of this and keeping tabs on this and making sure that nobody's out there, inoculating deer with these hormones to try to control their birth rates. But then I go on to read on down in the article that they already have a test area that they're using this on, and the test area is called Fripp Island, and it's a 5-year study, and it's a private gated community, and they're trying to control the deer numbers in there, and they don't want hunters in that area to take the deer out, so they're using this birth control. And what I find out later, guess who it's funded by and sponsored by? The Humane Society of the United States. Big surprise. Once again, they're sticking their nose in and trying to control how deer are taken or how they're being not really euthanized. They're just trying to control their birth rate and keeping people from hunting them. So once again, they're sticking their nose in and making it hard on us hunters.
Are they talking about like people that own deer?
No, it's a gated community. It's a private community. I guess it's an island. Fripp Island, I don't know. It says island. I'm assuming it's an island. But anyway, there's deer there, and they're wanting to keep the numbers out of this community. The deer from roaming through the community is causing problems. So instead of bringing in hunters to take the deer out, or maybe even using live traps and getting them out and taking them out into the wild and turning them loose, they're using blow darts with birth control hormones in them. And the 5-year study is backed by the Humane Society of the United States. They're sticking their fingers in, working with the State Wildlife Commission, and trying to use ways to control population without hunting. So it's just another front that they're on, and another way that they're trying to get their fingers in and everything. I got one last quick little article here, and this is from Cabelas. Cabelas is joining the NRA, and it's called Add a Buck Program. And what they're doing is every time you buy something from Cabelas website or at their stores, you can designate that $1 of your purchase go toward the NRA Youth Hunter Education Challenge. It's a program to help educate the youth around the United States and funding programs to help youth and hunters in shooting.
Kind of like a hunter safety.
I really don't know a lot about the program. It's something I might check into and bring up next week. But, it's just another good way to get youth involved in the hunting and shooting sports. And you know what? You just take $1 of money that you're already spending and tell Cabelas, say, hey, I want $1 of this money to go towards this fund. So it's pretty cool. So, well, listen, that'll do it for Outdoor News of the Week. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back after this.
If you're looking for the best in outdoor hunting and fishing podcasts, look no further than the Outdoor Radio Network. Each week we have dozens of podcasts devoted to outdoor sports, with shows like On the Water with Bob Murray, Bass Champ Journal, Surf and Shore Fishing, just to name a few. Check out all outdoor podcasts on the OutdoorRadioNetwork.com.
Welcome back, and now to the best part of the show, Mikey's Game Bag. Well, this week on Mikey's Game Bag, I'm going to be talking about some of the stuff I've been talking about lately is about like fly tying. And if any of you have brought up fly tying or tried to start it, one thing I have found really hard is to get cheap fly tying material. Everything is highly priced. And this week I'm going to give some advice on how to get some cheap fly tying material.
Going on the cheap, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Some of the first things, guys out there, I'm not sure if you get in trouble for it, but
you haven't yet.
Yeah, I haven't yet.
You might.
Yeah. Read some like sewing sets, sewing kits
from your mom or
your
for your wife if you're married or your grandma.
When we were up there, I found
this weekend.
This weekend I found the sewing kit and I rated that.
Yeah, he was trying to pilfer through all the stuff at the cottage trying to find fly tying material.
Yeah, I got some Meijer piping, which I don't even know why that was in there.
I don't know.
Yeah, some really small, and then I got some different colored thread that, like at stores, if you buy thread, a spool of it, it's like $3, and you can get stuff like that. Like another place to get good, cheaper stuff is like at Walmart.
Okay. One thing you ran across this week, though, on one of the fly tying forums you were reading was where were they getting their stuff at?
Some of the stuff that this guy, he's talking and stuff. He's been his wife was getting mad that he kept going fishing and stuff, so he decided to spend a day with her, and they went to a consignment store and he found some sewing kits that he picked up for like $1 or something.
Oh, I had a bunch of goodies in there. There you go. Yeah. Or garage sale maybe.
Garage sales, yeah.
Yeah. Garage sale finds. Hey, it's that time of year. You know what? That's what we did last year. You found some duck hunting equipment that way.
Yeah, I found some older decoys.
And we found a few odd and end hunting things here and there, too. So, it's getting to be that time of year. And actually, that used to be a segment of the show, the garage sale finds of the week. Yeah. Because we'd always look in the paper and try to find stuff.
Boat motors.
Yeah, we found a boat motor at a garage sale, and that's how we got the motor for your boat. But
some other things for like feathers and stuff. I'm not sure how far you guys want to get into it, but I haven't done it yet, and I plan on starting it up this year, or when I start to drive, is roadkill. Yeah.
I'm surprised you didn't have me stop up and pick up that turkey that was splattered on the road. See what I got to put up with, guys? Guy trying to get me to stop and pick up roadkill. Yeah. I'm from the South, and I hear all kinds of stories about roadkill and get teased about it, but now I got a kid who wants to pick this stuff up. Okay.
You picked up that squirrel for me, though.
Yeah, I did. That was a fresh kill, and it wasn't mangled. You're going to try to do some taxidermy work on that. That's different.
Some other things is you can go through, like, household stuff. One thing I've heard of some guys doing, and I don't know why they would do it. I mean, it's a little on the expensive side, but, like, if they have old computer things, they'll go through and they'll pick out the copper wire and use it.
Oh, something that they're going to get rid of. Okay. Yeah. Well, if they're going to throw it away and scrap it out.
Yeah, or in, like, wires and stuff.
Okay.
And you can use other things. Like, I've heard of guys, like, for, they'll have, like, floss that you can buy. Like, and you can actually make your own. You can just take Sharpie and stuff and use dental floss and color it.
Oh, make it and color it to the color you need it.
Yeah, and you can buy, like, a pack of that for, like, $1?
Yeah.
50 cents. And they have it in the store for, like, $3 for the fly tying stuff.
Okay.
It's just that everything is expensive for fly tying. You can find most of the stuff for cheaper at your, like, Wally World or something.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
All right, is that it for Game Bag this week?
I want to say one more thing. I've heard of some guys using vice grips as vices.
As a fly tying vice. Now, that's cheap.
Yeah.
But, hey, those things do get expensive. You found out. You actually purchased one here about 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
You got a nice one.
$20.
They can get expensive. All right, so that's the Game Bag for the week. All right, well, moving along here, we talked about this earlier in the show, and I've got it called up here on the computer right now. We got an email from a young gentleman out in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. And actually, we mentioned him last week on the show. Nathan Bowers is his name, and he's 15 from out there in Iowa, and he's just getting into hunting, and he's got some really good questions that he asked this week. And guys, we're going to kind of give our point of view on some of this stuff, And what I'm asking you to do, if you've got a point of view that can help this gentleman get in more into the hunting, the questions he's asking, email them to me. Email me your responses or what your suggestions are, and I will email them to him. I'll forward them along to him. Or I'll just take and cut and paste them all the body of the text and put them in one big email, and that'll give him something to do one day when he's not listening to the show or doing homework like he should be. Hint, hint, Michael.
Yeah, I already got it done.
Okay, all right. I hope you do, because tomorrow's Monday, and you better have it done. All right. Well, earlier in the week, Nate wrote me 2 questions. First one was, what is your favorite brand of camo? Mossy Oak, Real Tree, etc.? Well, I really don't have a preference as to a name brand. When I'm out hunting, first of all, the key thing is, number one, what are you hunting? And where are you hunting? Okay, you've got to look at your surroundings. You can go crazy with camo. I mean, we've got a closet full of camo. I mean, well, it's kind of empty now because it's out in the truck actually for turkey season. But what I try to do is I'll try to pick something that I know, unless it's something very specific. I will try to pick something that I can use in multiple situations, like my turkey camo. I use a lot of my turkey camo for my bow hunting, or, well, actually during deer rifle season. I don't wear camouflage, but specifically for bow hunting because I hunt the same area, okay? And our turkey season here in Michigan is later in the year, as far as the season that we take the last 3 weeks. So the foliage is full. By the time we get out in the woods, the foliage is full on. And during bow season, the foliage is still full on, and it's just starting to change, okay? So when I bought that camo, I bought camo that I could use both ways, okay? Name brand wise, I'm not loyal to a name brand. What I do is I look at the pattern. And if I think that pattern is going to work for me in my situation, and I can afford it, I buy it. Okay, that's the whole key to it. Another thing I try to take into consideration is the warmth of it. Okay, is it something I can use in the spring and the winter, or the spring and the fall? Can I use it during colder seasons in the fall when it gets colder? Can I use it in the spring when it still get those nice cold, chilly mornings? If not, if it's something real light, then I've got to think about buying underlayment garments to put with it. Okay, that's something else to consider. If you're going to use it for multiple purposes like that, you should buy it then. At least I think so, because that way you can layer it as you need. Versus if you buy something that's thick and heavy to keep you warm,
you can't use it in turkey season.
You're not going to be able to use it in late turkey season, or you won't be able to use it in early bow season. Okay, so those are some of the considerations that I try to keep in mind when I'm buying camo. I just don't buy that big, heavy camo stuff. I like my stuff thin, and I'll build layers up. That way I can dress according to the weather. Now, for the duck hunting stuff, I haven't bought any duck hunting gear because we just started this year. The only thing that we've really bought
was my waders.
You got the waders for Christmas. Those are Wetlands camo. We bought the Wetlands camo wrap, the the burlap wrap for the duck blind and the boat.
Just like you said, you have to look at your surroundings and stuff.
Exactly. You got to look at where you're going to hunt. Is it going to be grasslands? Is it going to be woodlots? Is it going to be in marshes? Is it going to be in tag altar swamps or a cedar swamp? Those are some of the things you need to think about.
Or snow.
Yeah, or snow. We ran into that this year with coyote hunting as far as snow camo. And if you listen to a couple of episodes from back in January, February, we really improvised on that and kind of got it on the cheap. I like to do things inexpensive, number one, and try to save money. But I'm not going to cheat on my camo. I guess that's where, if I had to draw the line somewhere, that's where I'm going to draw that line. Do not cheat on your camo. Don't get cheap on it and buy something just because it's cheap. Buy something that's going to work, because that's your cover. If you do not camouflage yourself properly, the gig's up. I don't care what you're hunting. You've got to have yourself concealed. Number one, that's bottom line. So do not skimp or cheat on camouflage. I guess that's my number one lesson about camo, at least from my standpoint. I know there's other guys out there that say, no, you got to buy camo for every situation. All these different, But a lot of these guys, they've got the money, they can spend it on that. But when you don't have that kind of money, and you're trying to do things and stay concealed, and you're trying to do it on a budget, you've got to think, how can I best utilize my money? And I guess that's my whole bottom line story. Okay, now go ahead, give them your take on it.
Something that I think, like for name brand and stuff, like you said, it doesn't really matter, but one of my preference brands is probably Mossy Oak because of the different, the different patterns that they have. They have probably at least 50 of them or something.
I wouldn't say that, maybe. They got a lot of patterns. Yeah. You go on their website and you check them all out.
I'll save them as my wallpaper.
Yeah.
Just like you said, adapt to your surroundings and stuff. Mostly for everywhere that you're going to be hunting. One that I found that looks like for everywhere, I'm not sure about different areas and different regions and stuff, but probably Mossy Oak Breakup would be the best one.
Here in Michigan?
Yeah, here in Michigan.
Yeah.
Yeah, just like you said, layering and stuff. Make sure, or if you want to do a cheap, make sure you can fit your snow camo over top of it.
Yeah, well, like I said, we went on the cheap this year with snow camo. Because that's a specialized camo.
Yeah.
And the only reason that we need snow camo here in Michigan at all, well, there's two reasons. Number one, coyote hunting. And you still have to wear orange. You got to wear an orange hat, but you can conceal the rest of yourself in snow camo. And the other one is late winter goose season. You can go full on winter camo there. You don't have to have hunter's orange on for waterfowl here in Michigan. And I wasn't going to spend top dollar. I mean, that stuff's expensive. It's doggone expensive.
Just make it out of a sheet, make you look like a ghost.
And that's the thing, is you hear a lot of guys, I mean, how much camouflage white do you need to blend into snow? You just need to be white. That's why we use Tyvek suits. And then when we're coyote hunting, I took a black felt marker and I drew all over the thing to make it look like, sticks. And, blend it in the surroundings. So that's, you just got to think about what you're going to use it for. Like I said, adapt to your surroundings. You got to be concealed. In a lot of situations, if you've got something that might not be exactly just right, you've always got the natural surroundings where especially if you're ground hunting on the ground, you can use that as cover. Build yourself a little blind or what have you, and try to conceal yourself even more. So there's ways of getting around it. And I imagine being a young hunter like this gentleman here is, money is an issue. I know what it is with you. You don't have money to burn.
Well, I spend it as soon as I get it.
Well, that's your problem, though. You just can't. Money burns a hole in your pocket. But seriously, that's something to consider. Young hunters are on tight budgets. Best thing you can do, pick something out that you really like for deer season and ask for it for Christmas. Maybe an early Christmas present, or if you got a birthday that's coming up right before then, ask for that stuff for your birthday.
I don't know. Deer season's before Christmas.
Well, it is here in Michigan, but maybe not. I don't know about Iowa. I don't know when they're deer. I assume it is. I said early Christmas present. Maybe an early Thanksgiving present.
Or birthday present.
Well, like I said, birthday. Or ask for it for Christmas and you got it for the next year. So. That's my take on camouflage. It may not answer your question thoroughly, but I really don't have a favorite brand. My favorite brand is one that conceals me. That's my favorite brand. Okay, now his second question, actually, this second question leads into a whole series of questions that he asked me later on in the week. And I don't know how far I can take this into the show. We might, like I said, let me just read his question, and I'll kind of give a take on it and explain where we're going with this. He also wrote, I want to take a look into a bow. What bow would be a good choice for a beginner to start out on? Okay, that's a real broad question. I mean, you can get a million answers to that question right there. Bow hunting is my love, my passion. I love to bow hunt. Now, as far as being a person that would give you advice on buying a bow, I can give you general advice, okay? Because when I learned to shoot when I was younger, I bought this little tiny Kodiak Bear thing way back when. I think I paid $30 for. I mean, just a cheap thing. And I think I was 10, okay? Now, what I started you out on, Michael, was a little higher end bow. Okay, and now you've stepped up and you've actually taken my bow from last year because I stepped into that new Hoyt Tricon. We made both of us made a big jump last year in the equipment that we use. I was tired of not being a consistent shooter. I was tired of not having a fast enough arrow to get out there and do the job, okay? And I made that leap up into that next step of the new parallel limb, the faster speed bows, newer technology. Now, that's the one thing I will say, and I'll point you in this direction. If you're very serious about bow hunting, okay, don't go out and buy the cheapest thing you can find and start out shooting, okay? Don't buy the most expensive one either, okay? Maybe start out with something used. Let me use that piece of advice there. But buy something with newer technology, okay? Because it's going to perform better, it's going to be more reliable, and it's going to be, you can tune it better to your body. The best piece of advice I can give you is if you're going to buy a bow to start out shooting with, number one, find a reputable bow shop, pro bow shop, to put it that way, in your area. Talk to some of the hunters around. Talk to some guys. Get on one of your web forums and start searching the area and find a pro shop in your area. And then go there and tell them that you're brand new, okay? You need to be measured, okay? You need to find out what your draw length is, okay? You need to find out what kind of poundage you can pull, what kind of range that you're in. You don't want to buy something that goes 50 to 70 pounds if you can only pull 40, okay? Because that's not going to do you any good. You've got to find that range, and you want to get something when you find out what you can pull back. Get something that starts out at that range and can increase. Make sure it has adjustability built in, that the poundage can be increased. And I don't know, being 15-year-old gentlemen, I would assume you've still got some growing to do. So that means that your draw length is going to change as you grow, okay? Your strength is going to increase. So those are two key things that you really need to focus on when you buy a bow. Now, that being said, I wouldn't recommend buying a brand new bow, okay? Because if you spend top dollar for a brand new high-tech bow that you fit into now, number one, if you do grow a lot, you're going to grow out of it. Not only that, so say you start shooting it, and you say, man, I don't get this, I don't like it, it's not for me. Then you're going to take a big hit on trying to resell that bow. So what I suggest doing, like I say, go to your pro shops, talk to some of the pros there. Maybe they've got some demo models that they can knock a price off on. Maybe they've got some used models. That's the way to go. When Michael started wanting to shoot a bow, I actually got on the internet. Now, I wouldn't recommend this for a 15-year-old, but for younger kids, I know a buddy of mine here in the Flint area, Tim, is looking for a bow for his young boy. I think he's 8, 9, or 10 years old in that range there. When I got Michael started at 10, I went online. Actually, no, I didn't. I bought yours new. I did buy I bought that PSC new.
You bought Jacobs.
I bought Jacobs, my youngest boy. Actually, Mackenzie has your first bow now.
Yeah.
Because I bought that one new because I knew there was going to be 3 other kids coming up that was going to get to use that. But actually, we had 2 of them shooting at the same time. So I looked online, and I found another PSC Pro Series bow, and I bought that for less than $50. And that bow, I mean, it's a youth bow, but that thing can go up to 30 or 35 pounds, okay? It's not the Spider, but it's
the Outlaw.
The Outlaw.
I think it's the Pro Series of the Spider.
Spider, exactly. It's the same bow. It's exactly the same. So, but it's just it's got a Pro sticker on it, and they probably charge more money for it for whoever bought it the first time. But that's the thing is look for. I wouldn't buy online unless you buy a used bow online in your area where you can actually physically go inspect it. And I would also, if you're going to do that, have the guy meet you at the bow shop and say, okay, I'll buy the bow from you, but we're going to have it inspected first to make sure the limbs aren't cracked, make sure everything's running true on it, the cables aren't wore out, the cams aren't wore out, and the string. Those are things that's going to cost you big money down the road if you have to have that fixed. So that's one of the things that I'd kind of worry about spending money on a bow online. So that's why I recommend go to your pro shop. If you've got a buddy who's selling the bow, that's another good way too. He may have grown out of one, or maybe he's going to step up into the next line. Go that route. When I bought my Hoyt, I bought it offline, but I bought it from a guy that lives here in town, and that was the deal. Let's inspect this thing before I buy it, and make sure it's all up and running and it's all good and there's nothing wrong with it. So you can get some good deals that way, but you got to be careful. So that's my recommendation on a bow. I don't want to push a name brand. I shoot a Hoyt. Michael shoots a Browning. The 2 other kids shoot PSE. My dad shoots a Matthews. Now, I've just given you 4 different names. You know what? And there's nothing wrong with any of those bows. There's nothing wrong with any of them. So, Michael's using the bow that I use for about 3 or 4 years. It's an older technology bow. And actually, we're going to be having to consider seriously stepping you up into something a little different here in another year or so, just because the technology is changing so fast. And that bow that you're using now is just, the reliability is just not where I'd like it to be for you. So, I don't know. I've been doing all the talking on this. I know you're into bow hunting.
I'm a little into bow hunting, but bow hunting is more your thing.
Yeah.
Like, I really don't know all the technical stuff about it.
Well, making that jump from the smaller bow to the new bow. I mean, you shot that small bow for what, 2 years?
Yeah.
And then, was it last year we got you into the new one?
Yeah.
Or not the new one, but my old one?
Yeah.
Well, did you notice, I mean, talk about some of the things that you noticed in it. I mean, you're going to be 14 this year. You're almost as big as me. You're over 200 pounds. You're 5'9". I mean, for your age, you're a big kid. Yeah. So you outgrew that bow, that PSE real quick. So you stepped up into that other bow. What are you pulling now on that? 40, 45 pounds?
40, 45.
Okay. And I can't remember what your draw length is. Yeah. We had those arrows cut, but I can't remember what they were.
Some of the things I noticed were difference in size tremendously from the length from cam to cam. Like you said, draw length, weight, and difference. I was shooting about 25, and then I went right up to like 40.
Yeah, because you outgrew that bow in one season so quickly. Okay. Yeah. Now, with that being said, we're talking about the bows and things. That's going to lead me into a little more here of what's coming up. We just hooked up with Muzzy this week, Broadhead Company. They're sending us out some of the MX3s and MX4s, broadheads that we're going to field test for them. And they're also sending us out one of their new, it's like a drop-away rest. You know, it's one of those touchless rests that is just a drop-away.
Are they one or two?
Actually, I'm field testing one, and Kevin Hutchings.
Pro staff.
Yeah, our pro staff guy, Kevin Hutchins. Who's a member of the Up North Journal team here. He is actually going to try him on his. See, now he shoots the Hoyt Tricon also, like I do, but his is the XL. His is 3 inches longer than mine. It's the same bow, but it's different. So, see, you can even get into the same models and have differences in them. And the reason his is longer from cam to cam is because he's a lot taller than I am. Okay, so, you know, and those are things to take into consideration. So, you know what? Let me give you another good piece of advice on bow hunting if you want to get into this. And I've recommended these guys before, and I don't want to push guys to other podcasts, but you know what? These guys are awesome, and it's somebody you ought to listen to. It's bowcast.com. Go to Bowcast, BOWCAST.com. Anthony and Anil are the guys who run that out there from Full Moon Productions. Those guys are the whip daddy of bow hunting. They are hardcore. They're out there, and if you want to know about bow hunting, listen to their podcast and go back and listen to all of them. Start from the beginning and listen all the way through, because these guys are phenomenal. You know what? I took a lot of their practice tips here in the last year, and I've increased my game and my accuracy quite a bit in the last year, just by following their techniques and some of their suggestions. So go over and check those guys out. And tell them the guys from the Up North Journal sent you if you get on their forum. And actually, I think I'm listed on there as Fur and Feathers. And let them know we sent you over there. Because I like to highly recommend those guys. They know what they're talking about. That being said, we can't get back into what he was asking here. But yeah, go over and check those guys out. Definitely, Nathan. That's where you want to get your information from. You want to talk about some pro hunters. That's the guys you need to get a hold of. Matter of fact, get on the web forum, register for it, and ask these same questions to those guys. There's a lot of good information over there. But also, getting back to what we were talking about earlier, like I said, Muzzy is so gracious as to send us some equipment to try out this year. And we're going to put it to the test. You know, we're going to try it out here. We're going to practice with it. And we're going to let you guys know how it works. And we're hoping to get some other stuff from 2 other companies we haven't heard back from just yet. But I'm pretty positive that we're going to get something from those guys too. And that way we get a broad range of equipment to try out and let you guys know what works and maybe what doesn't work. I mean, it all works, you know, but what works the best. So, but let's get back to the email here. And a couple other things that he had asked us questions on was, and I'm assuming you're asking about here in Michigan specifically for us guys. It says, how do you guys deer hunt with rifles? How do you deer hunt with bows? Do you use a blind, a tree stand? Do you use calls, scents, whatever? So to kind of cover that, here in Michigan, we are allowed to use tree stands all through the deer season for rifle and bow. And they just changed that law here in the last 2 or 3 years, I think. Used to be you could only use tree stands for bow hunting. Now we could use them for shotgun, we can use them for rifle, we can use them for muzzleloading. Or if you so choose, during the rifle season, if you have a crossbow, you can use that also. So, personally, I love to tree stand hunt, man. That's the Mac Daddy for me. I love to be elevated. I love to be able to look down on my quarry and scope things out. It gives you a unique perspective and a unique way to camouflage yourself in getting up in a stand. And usually, I like to be at least 16 feet up. Good 4 climbing sticks up at least, and that's to the bottom level of my tree stand. I don't want to be down any lower because then you got to worry about thermal currents carrying your scent down and things like that. You got to worry more about movement and things of that nature. But I will use a pop-up blind from time to time. I'll use it during rifle season or muzzleloading season, or I'll use it during bow season.
Like that time I kicked you out of your stand?
Yeah, you kicked me out of my tree stand last year because you weren't seeing any deer, and I had to go to a pop-up blind. So I've used that. Now, where we rifle hunt typically, let me explain this here in Michigan for those of you who are not familiar with it. In Michigan, we're divided up into 3 zones, okay? In the Lower Peninsula, there's 2 zones, and then the UP is their own separate zone. But get out your trusty map, everybody. Hold out your left hand in front of you and look at the back of it. That's the state of Michigan at the Lower Peninsula. We are unique in that regards that we have our own little personalized map. If you take and draw a line straight across your knuckles on the back of your hand, that general area is the zone dividing line for the upper half of the Lower Peninsula and the lower half of the Lower Peninsula. Everything south of that line, we cannot use rifles for deer season, okay? We can only use them in the northern zone and in the UP, what we call the Upper Peninsula. So, that being said, we can use tree stands up for rifle season in the upper zone. And what I like to use, or at least where we deer hunt from up in that area, is what we call elevated stands.
Deer Zebos.
Yeah, Deer Zebo. Actually, if you go to our website, our blog site, it's on there. And I'll get more into that here at the end of the show where you can find that at. But we've got elevated stands. I mean, they are little shooting houses. What a lot of guys in the South call shooting houses. They're elevated. Well, 2 of them we have are 13 feet up in the air on stilts. Okay. I'll use that for bow season, and I'll use it for rifle season. I'll use it for muzzleloading. But down here in the southern zone, we don't have anything like that because we hunt state land down here. Down here actually through the whole state, if you're hunting on state land, you cannot attach anything permanently to a tree. You can't screw anything in. You can't nail. You got to excuse me, folks, here. I just had to put a cough drop in. I think I'm catching what Michael had. You're contagious. But getting back to that now. That's kind of the way we do things here in Michigan. I like to be able to use an elevated stand. If I can't use an elevated stand, then I'll go to a pop-up blind. I don't do a lot of stalk hunting or stand hunting like what he had mentioned. That's how he got his first buck, is he was on stand, what they call stand posting. We call it posting here a lot of times too.
Or driving. And
they had some drivers come through, people on foot walking and pushing deer. They call them pushes, drives, things of that nature. And that's how this young gentleman got his first deer. And there's nothing wrong with that. Those are good, effective ways of taking game. But here, where we hunt, during rifle season up there at my dad's place, we're not allowed to get out and walk. That's just club rules. You just can't do that. I've got my own opinions on that, and we'll cover that some other time. I don't agree with it, but that's neither here nor there right now. Down here in the southern zone where we hunt, where I do most of my bow hunting, obviously we don't post up or stalk hunt with bows. It's much more effective to be in a tree stand to bow hunt. So that's kind of the way we do things here. Now, he also asked about calls. Now, I don't use it very often, but I will use a grunt call. I really haven't studied enough and learned enough about them to use them effectively. I have grunted at deer before that were on the move. You know, if they come through an area and they won't stop, what?
Grunting at deer.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know.
You know, grunt call. Now, that's one kind of call that I will use, and I don't even use a grunt call for that. I just use my mouth, just like I just did now. If there's a deer on the move and he's slipping through, and he's close enough to me, and I'm going to draw to take a shot with a bow, and he won't stop. And we've seen this on TV a lot, especially a lot of the shows that we watch, Michael. The guys will be on stand, and all of a sudden deer come through, and he's on the move. He's got his nose to the ground. He's sniffing. He's looking for that doe, and he's not going to stop. And those guys will go, runt, 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 and they'll get that deer to stop, throw his head up, and freeze. And wham, that's when you drop the shot on him. That's very effective. Now, my dad, back in the day, when I was younger, and I'd go out and I'd sit with him, he would whistle at him, and that does the same thing. A deer on the move, especially during rifle season or shotgun season, deer's moving through the woods, and he's on the go. Maybe he's on the run, even. You know, and you just go, and them ears, they'll stop, them ears will get up, and that's when you drop a shot on them. So any little sharp, sudden noise like that, you can use. But as far as calls, I don't use them. Go ahead.
I've seen a guy yell yo at a deer before.
Yo?
Yeah. Yeah, he couldn't get to stop. He was like, hey, yo!
Did he get it?
Yeah, he shot it. He dropped it.
Hey, whatever works. But and then the last part of his question here was scents. I do use you know me. What am I called?
Scent freak.
I am a huge scent freak. I use a lot. I don't use a lot of cover scent. I will use a little bit of cover scent on my boots, hot spots, groin area, armpits, things like that. I will use a scent cover before I put on my outer garments and spray down with that. Matter of fact, I've got a new product that I'm going to try this year. It's from Atsko, I believe, and we'll get into more on that when season starts to come up. It's some stuff I purchased at one of the outdoor Rama shows here recently. But anyway, I try to mask my scent as much as possible. There's a lot of controversy out there right now over scent lock and scent lock suits. I own one, and I just bought one this year for bear, and I don't know. I was never winded by that bear, and he was directly under my tree stand. I'm talking, I could have spit straight down on him. He was directly underneath me. I was 16 feet above him, and I was never winded one time. Was it the scent lock suit, or was it because I took the precautions to cover my scent? I don't know. I really don't know. All I know is I was effective in doing my job and covering my scent. And that's one of the key things, whether you're deer hunting or bear hunting or, coyote hunting even. Anything where scent can be an issue, you need to make sure you're covered and taking proper precautions. I don't use deodorant the morning before I go out. I will wash with a scent-free soap. Bar soap. I will wash myself down with that. I don't use shampoo 2 or 3 days beforehand. I will use that scent-free soap in my hair, bar soap I'm talking, to wash my hair with. I want all what?
Well, actually, you do have that scent-free deodorant.
I have used that in the past, yeah. But I'm talking like a regular speed stick, or a right guard. I don't use any of that stuff. My hunting clothes. You know how freakish I am about that.
Yeah.
Those do not ever get washed in regular laundry detergent. There's UV brighteners in them, number 1. There's perfumes in them, number 2. And that stuff stays on your clothes. And number 3, don't put them in the dryer and dry them unless you're heat activating those scent lock suits per their directions. I take my clothes and I hang them outside on a clothes hanger, and I hang them in the tree. Okay, that's my regime of scent control. And I don't wear my boots when I get in the vehicle. I don't put my hunting clothes on when I get in the vehicle. I wait till I get to my hunting area, my parking area. I get out and I get dressed outside my vehicle. You stop and you put gas in your vehicle. If you got your hunting boots on, you're carrying gas into your hunting area. Why would you want to do that? You going to go out and sprinkle gas around on your area? No, nobody's going to do that. You're people who smoke, they've got that on them. If you're in your car on your way to your hunting site and you're smoking, that's in your clothes. You're carrying that into your hunting area. If you're eating breakfast on the way, you're carrying that smell into the hunting area. Those are key things that people make huge mistakes on. So, yeah, I am a scent freak.
Or if you spill your coffee or something.
Or if you spill your coffee on you. You've got that coffee smell in your clothes. You're carrying that into your area. You know, I am so huge on cover scent. Now, let's back up, talking about scents. I think the real question he was asking was
about, like, attractors.
Scent attractants. Now, I use those also. I put scent wicks out. I perimeter my stand with scent wicks about 10, 15 yards out. And I use doe and estrus, doe and heat, depending on what time of the season it is and what I'm trying to actually accomplish with those scent attractants. You know, and the combination of the two, that's where it's at, you know. Last year when we hung the tree stands, Kevin Hutchings, part of the Up North Journal team, he brought out the scent bombs.
The buck bomb.
He had the buck bomb with him. We sprayed those all over the area after we put our tree stand up. We sprayed them on the tree stands because when you're hanging those stands in the early fall, number one, you're sweating like crazy because it's warm out. You're getting your scent all over that area. Cover it. Get rid of it. You know, it sounds crazy, but you know what?
It's true.
You know, I just take every precaution I can. You know, and those things that I mentioned don't cost money. You know, I mean, yeah, I had to buy the detergent, the special detergent. I've still got the same bottle I used last year. It was $14. And I've washed, I don't know how many clothes with them.
I don't know, it's about as much as regular DR.
No, it's a little more expensive. But it lasts if you use it properly. I bought a Rubbermaid tote that I put pine boughs in, that I put my clothes in after they're clean and seal it. That cost $5. And I bought that scent-free deodorant. That was $5. So I've got $25 wrapped up into my scent prevention. That's nothing in the grand scheme of things.
Priceless.
It's priceless, exactly. You just got to take the right precautions. So that's kind of the way we do things here for deer season. That's kind of the way I approached bear season last year. Those are some of the things that I did. So, you know,
for rifle season, we're not as picky as about it, though.
No, because we're in shooting shacks, hunting houses, our deer zebo, raised elevated platforms. You know, we have to wear camouflage, or we wear camo orange here. You have to have a hunter's orange on. So, you know, we have a camo pattern orange that we wear. And then you're sitting in a shooting house where you have a little port window that you can only see basically the size of your head, you know, so you really don't have to worry that much about scent control because you're enclosed. And not only that, you're shooting at, you know, 50 to 100 yards also. So that's, I don't know, that's kind of the way we do deer season here in Michigan, I guess. I hope that answers the questions. And like I said before, guys, if you're out there, you've heard the questions that this young gentleman's asked. Everybody's got an opinion. If you got some good information, pass it along to me. So that way I can get it to him. And hopefully we'll give him enough to read to where keep him busy between now and deer season. Yeah. So, you got anything you want to add to all that stuff we just talked about?
Just patience goes along with everything for bow hunting.
Especially patience, yes.
I have very little of it for bow hunting, but I have lots of it for fly tying.
Yeah. That's one thing that you will learn about shooting. And don't get discouraged if you're taking, you know, he's taking up archery here. Do not get discouraged. It is a learned art, okay? You're not going to hit that bullseye every time when you first go out there. It's going to take practice. And that's why I bring this up now. You know, that couldn't have been a more timely question from this gentleman here about bow hunting. And, you know, yeah, it's spring, it's May, but you know what? This time last year is when I started my shooting regime last year. And it took me from May through to September to get ready for bear season. But you know what? When bear season rolled around, was I dead on or was I dead on?
You were dead on.
You know?
And you still took your target with you to camp.
Yeah, I took target with me to camp and practice while I was at camp. So, practice. And I don't mean you got to go out and shoot 500 rounds a day. I shot anywhere from 3 to 4 days a week, and I would shoot 40 to 80 rounds a day. And that's all it took. I'd shoot from an elevated platform. I'd shoot from the ground. I'd change my distances up a little bit. That's just some of the things you need to do. Get into that routine. Get confident. And most importantly, be patient. Because you could sit there all day and not see a thing. During bear season last year, I spent over 30 hours on stand in the evenings in 4 days. 4 or 5 days, can't remember. I saw one bear. That whole encounter took place in about a 5-minute time frame. I spent 30 hours on stand, and I saw one bear. But you know what? It was worth every minute that I spent out there. I didn't get the shot that I wanted. I didn't take a shot. And my dad was fortunate enough the next week to be able to harvest a bear. We think it was the same one. We're not sure. But it's well worth it. You know, just be patient. That's all I can tell you. So, anything else you want to add?
No.
All right. Well, I hope that answers your questions. We'll get more into bow hunting and practicing throughout May and June, July. We'll talk about how we're doing and how we're progressing. We've got the new products that are coming in. We've still got our bow cam, that our camera mount that we used on shotguns that we took to Ohio with us. We didn't get to use them because we didn't see any turkey. But hopefully we're going to get to use that here in May on the shotguns. But it also retrofits right to our bows. And we're going to be taking some practice video with that to see how that works with our bows.
I can't wait to use them in duck season.
Yeah, I know what you want.
Sweet.
Yeah, you're hoping. But, so we got some stuff we're going to be bringing you here throughout the summer to kind of get you ready for next hunting season.
I hope to get into more fishing stuff and more duck hunting stuff.
Yeah, well, that's something we haven't really covered a whole lot on the show is fishing. I really haven't got a lot into it. That's more up your alley.
Yeah.
So hopefully...
during the summer, it turns to Mikey's live well.
Yeah. No more game back. It's going to be the live well, huh? Okay.
During the summer.
All right. Well, we hope so. Now, we talked about some of the stuff on our websites. Go to upnorthjournal.com. That's our main website. There's links on the right-hand side of the page to all of our other websites. I've been writing for a place called Skinny Moose Broadcasting. It's out east. They're the ones that pushes our podcast, but they also have blog sites. And I'm writing for one there. It's called Hooks and Bullets. And there's a link on our website to that. And it's a little bit of a pay bump on that for the hits and everything on that. It's not a lot of money, believe me. So I guess what I'm asking is for you guys to go over to that website and support us on it. You know, go over and check it out. Tell your friends about it. If you enjoy what you read, what you're reading about, what we write about, tell your friends about it. Email them, send them a link. You know, tell your neighbors, tell your family, whatever. I'm just trying to generate some interest over there. There's a place where you can comment, and if you don't agree with what I'm writing, tell me so. You know, that's what it's about, man. It's about exchanging ideas, and that website, it's a little more edgy. I get to really voice my opinion over there, so to speak, and tell everybody how I feel. This podcast is really not the place for that right now. So, but now we do have another blog site that's our hunting journal, and that's where we talk about all of our outdoor experiences that we've had. We write about our time out in the field and things that we do, and that one is on there also. It's called the Up North Journal Hunting Blog, and we have a link on our website there also. Like I said, upnorthjournal.com. We have our email links there. Click on that, shoot us an email, let us know what you think about stuff. If you got a question like this young gentleman here did, shoot us an email. And we've also got links on there. It's called Up North Journal Television. That's got all of our videos that we've produced. We've got, I think, 13 videos out there right now of different things that we've done outside. Crazy stuff, fun stuff, and hopefully you'll enjoy that too. So give us a try. Go check out all of our stuff there and let us know what you think about it. And we sure would like to hear from you. But with that being said, that's all I got this week. I appreciate everybody's support. Like I say, it's been a fun year.
Yeah.
We're starting year number 2 right now. This is our second week into that, and I hope it's just onward and upward and more fun and excitement. And I want you guys to be a part of it also. I've tried writing some of the bigger known hunters out there, hoping to land a phone interview with. I haven't heard back yet. I'm not going to mention any names because I don't want to be made fun of in case it doesn't happen. But you never know. We may get lucky enough to get one of these guys to talk to us. And who knows? We'll see what happens. Be a lot of fun.
It's been pretty cool, guys.
So, yeah. But, we're just trying to get the word out about hunting and fishing, and that's our love, you know. So, like I say, onward and upward this year, and lots more fun to come. So, you got anything else you want to throw on the show this week, Mike?
Nothing. If anyone has any questions about fly tying or anything, just email me.
Okay. Well, yeah, you got your own little blog site going. You haven't put a lot on it, but
I've only had like 3 topics on there.
But they're all fly tying, though, right?
Actually, no. I have a product review on there for Thermacell.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that. Yeah, we will be breaking that out this coming 2 weeks from now for our turkey trip. Got to get the thermosols out. But I guess that'll do it for this week, folks. We're going to, like I said, we're going to cover a lot more into getting ready for bow season. We got turkey season coming up. That we're going to be out here 3 weekends in a row. Not next weekend, but the 3 weekends after that, our season starts. And then beyond that, it's going to be fishing. We got a lot of fishing, hopefully, to come this year. And who knows where the trails and the waters will lead us through the great state of Michigan. Yeah. Hopefully to a lot of game. That's all I want to be able to spend time outdoors. So, with that being said, that'll do it for us this week. As we always say here at the Up North Journal, if you're out in the woods or on the water, shoot straight and be safe. Until next week on the Up North Journal.